Hi everyone, for those who don't know me, I'm Hannah and I'm your new sports officer for 2021. Thanks for joining our live Q&A session today. I hope that everyone is having a good week so far and everyone's keeping safe. We've teamed up with the Careers Service to bring you live workshops which we hope you will find useful when planning the next step in your career. I understand that it's a stressful time at the moment, especially during a global pandemic. We put these sessions on to ease any anxieties you may have around job searching, applying for jobs and getting ready for the interview process. This session is open to all students at University of Leicester and it's a safe space for you to ask any questions. Please do send in any questions you have. There is no such thing as a silly question. Today's session will be focused on what to consider when applying for postgraduate study. We'll be covering how to apply for postgraduate study and what to expect and understanding the differences. Having experienced postgraduate study myself, I understand that you may need help with deciding if it's the right route for you. I will now pass on to Rose from the Careers team to discuss how the Careers team can support you with preparing for postgraduate study. We're also joined by Charlotte from Careers, who will also be introducing herself and explaining in more detail the support that is available to you. We will then move on to a 20-minute Q&A where you can ask any questions that you might have.
So my name's Rose Lowry and I'm a careers consultant from the Career Development Service at the University of Leicester. I manage the central provision of appointments and workshops, which are currently all virtual. As well as deliver plenty of appointments and workshops myself, so you may recognise my face. We can support you with many aspects of your career planning, including if you are considering applying for further study. So we can help you right at the beginning of making that decision, whether it's researching courses, weighing up your different options, and understanding how that may support your future career. And of course, when it comes to applying, we can support you to draft your personal statement and coach you for any interviews that you may have in that process. Applying for postgraduate study can be quite different to applying for undergraduate study. You often apply directly through the institution's website. There isn't one single deadline, and you can submit a separate personal statement with each application rather than using the same. So it's really important that you tailor each application you're making to the specific course you're applying for, ensuring that your relevant skills, experience and motivation for that opportunity is clear. I'll be on hand today to answer your questions around applying to postgraduate study, along with Charlotte, who joins us from the Future Students Office, who's going to introduce herself now.
Hi everyone, I'm Charlotte Barrett and I work in the Future Students Office. My role mainly revolves around working with mature students, so anyone over the age of 21 doing undergraduate degrees, and also people who are looking at doing postgraduate degrees. So since lockdown, we have been working on a series of online events. So you might have noticed that we've been doing lots and lots of sort of open days, virtual open days for postgraduate study, and you might have had emails about sort of our coffee mornings, which are a little less formal. So if you just want to chat and to find out a bit more, you can pop along to one of those. So we've been taking things a step further than we have done in the past, because we know that there's a lot of uncertainty out there. So being able to give you the option to drop into our coffee mornings or the open days once a month, it means you can ask all those questions that you want to know if you are considering postgrad study. So I know quite a bit about sort of University of Leicester rather than sort of more generally out and about. And so if you've got questions about University of Leicester courses, I can see what I can do, or I can signpost you to the right place. Okay, so Hannah, back to you.
Thank you both for providing a real insight into how the Careers team can support students. We will now move into a 20-minute Q&A, so please do feel free to send in any questions you have. Even if the questions don't relate directly to online assessments, we can still help you out. Okay, so first question, when should I apply to a master's? Over to Rose.
So this is a really good question, so thank you for sending it in. While some institutions do set specific deadlines, many will accept applications throughout the year. However, a lot of institutions will be accepting their applicants on a first-come, first-served basis. So even though they're not advertising a specific deadline, it still is really important to make sure you're getting your application in there well ahead of the course starting. We'd usually say around that 6-month mark before the course will begin. Applications do tend to open, as early as 12 months prior to that course starting. So you've got a lot of time to do your research, to make sure you're preparing that personal statement to the best standard. Obviously, if you're in final year and you're applying to postgraduate study, it's unlikely you're going to have your degree transcript ready to send them, but they will be able to provide, your current university, the WIS will be able to provide a predicted grade for you to submit along with your application. You may find some master's courses are still open in June or July, as late as that for courses starting in September, but we'd always advise trying not to leave it that late.
Okay, brilliant, thank you. Next question. Do I have to do a master's in the same subject as my undergraduate?
So you don't necessarily have to do the same subject as your undergraduate degree. So you can basically build a programme that suits you if you've got an idea about what you want to do. But you do want to make sure that if there's specific information or specific knowledge you need on that particular master's degree, that you fulfil that. So for example, you might not be able to go from a humanities degree onto sort of a very science-based master's degree, but within sort of your rough area, you can chop and change. So for example, I have a degree in history of art, and I have a master's degree in museum studies. So you can have something which really complements it. But you could also, for example, I was just looking at Cherie King. She has an undergraduate degree in genetics, but she also has a sort of an undergraduate degree in archaeology as well. And then she went on to do molecular genetics. I'll get the words out right. So you can use it to really build something interesting for yourself. So say if you've got a degree in politics, you could then go and look at a master's degree in law, for example. So think about those combinations. Don't feel that you have to go straight down a straight line to sort of the next step along your subject. You can really make it work for you and come up with a really intriguing combination that could make you a really, really good employee later on.
Brilliant, thank you. Someone's asking, how many courses should they apply to? Rose, do I take that one?
So there's no hard and fast rules against about the number of courses you should apply to. Unlike UCAS, you're not limited to only 5 courses to apply to. However, we would say you don't want to be going mad. You want to make sure that each application you're making, you've taken the time to make a good quality application. So you don't want to compromise the quality of an application for a course by trying to apply for too many. So it's really important, as I mentioned, that you are tailoring each personal statement to the specific course that you're applying to make sure that application is as strong as possible.
Thank you. What will make me stand out in my application?
So,
yeah, Rose?
To make you stand out in your application, again, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but it needs to be really tailored to that course. So what we mean by that is really thinking about how you can demonstrate that your knowledge, your skills and your experience is relevant to the course that you're applying for. So you're really highlighting why those things that you've done are going to be relevant and make you a successful student on that particular course. But it's also showing that you're really well researched in that course. So you've taken the time to research exactly what you're going to be doing by undertaking that course. That might be looking at specific modules, so thinking about what module you might choose. Is there a specific module that particular institution offers that a different institution doesn't? Why is that particular module important to you? So that could be something that you might want to write about in your personal statement. And also thinking about the department, the university as a whole. So, are there things that they're doing that they're particularly good at, that they're, standing out in the sector for, that is important to you? So you're linking back to, why those things are really drawing you to that particular organisation. So it's bringing together not just what you've done, so your experience, your education, your experience in a relevant manner to that course, but also thinking about, why they're the right ones for you. So not only why you're the right student for them, but what makes them really attractive to you. And it's really important to also reference how that particular course is going to help you in your future career as well. So you don't need to be really certain on what it is that you're going to do after that course, but they're going to want to see that you've had to think about how that does fit into your long-term career plans and what that course is going to enable you to do from that point.
Thank you very much. So next question. What is the difference between campus-based learning and distance learning at master's level? Charlotte?
So you do have choices at master's level, a bit more than you do undergraduate. So you can look at doing a distance learning course. So especially at the moment with COVID, you might think, actually, I don't want to move location. You could do something which is a little more based at home. Now, most of the time, distance learning courses are part-time. So rather than doing a master's course in 1 year, you're doing it over 2. but it does mean you can basically work your way around work. So if you've got any sort of work or caring responsibilities, you can still study towards a master's degree. So a lot of things have changed as well with these distance learning degrees. We're getting much better at doing online content, especially when we've had to learn it. At Leicester, we have 25 years of experience at delivering on basically online distance learning courses as well at master's level. So you get a big pack of resources that come through. Sometimes you'll get books actually sent to you, so your key text, and you'll have access, virtual access to a lot of resources through Blackboard. So you might see lectures and seminars and things like that, and you do get a lot of time with your tutor to work out what you want to do. So you do have to be self-directed when you're doing it by distance learning and motivated to do that work in your own time, but it is a lot more flexible. At the moment, obviously, we've got Ignite coming in for the coming year for our master's degrees, as well as everything else that's going on. So it's the same kind of format. You might get sort of your online learning for your larger scale coursework, or things like lectures and stuff like that, but you'll still get your face-to-face smaller group teaching at master's level if you do it campus-based. A lot of our courses as well, you could do them part-time. So again, if you're not sure what you want to do and you think actually I want to take my time over this master's degree, you could do it campus-based part-time as well. There's quite a few more options for a bit more flexible learning with master's level courses. So do think about that as well in your choices. But the end part of it is really your master's degree is still the same qualification that you come out with at the end. So don't feel like if you did it by distance learning, it's a different type of degree. It's the same qualification. Thanks, Anna.
Brilliant, thank you. So next question, what student finance is in place for master's degrees? Back to you, Charlotte.
Yeah, so student finance, in the last couple of years, Student Finance England have brought in student finance for master's courses. So if you qualify for student finance, if you have a look on the website and make sure you qualify for that, then you can actually get a loan to help cover your fees and some living costs. It's not quite like the same as the undergraduate loan. It is just a fixed amount, and you can take the whole thing or part of it. I would recommend taking the whole thing, because if you're going to pay it back, you may as well take the whole lot. And at the moment, I believe it's £11,222 that you get for a master's degree. So some of that you can put towards your fees, and some will help towards your living costs as well. So it's up to you how you want to split that and how you want to use it. It's not means tested, so it's a very quick process. As was mentioned earlier, if you're applying quite late, you can still get your master's loan if that's what you need to help cover your costs. So you can do it, but I would say the earlier the better on applying for that particular bit of finance. It's repaid in the same kind of way as your undergraduate loan. It doesn't get added on to that amount though. It is separate. So you will find that when you do start working and paying it back, you have an amount for your undergraduate loan coming out of your wages and one for your postgraduate loan. So do look it up on the Student Finance website. It's only been around for a couple of years, and it's a massive bonus if you're thinking, yeah, maybe I could do this, but how would I afford my fees? Obviously, there's scholarships and other things as well to help with that cost. If you stay at the University of Leicester from your undergraduate to your postgraduate, we'll give you 20% off your fees as well. So it's a little added bonus for an alumni discount. There is extra information on the postgraduate website on the University of Leicester website. There's a talk all about student finance and extra links on there if you need it.
Thank you. Okay, so we've got a situation-based one here. I'm just going into my third year and want to know what I can do now to help me be successful in applying to a master's degree. Rose?
Fab. So I'd really think about spending some time researching courses now if you've not already thought about the course that you might apply to or the courses you might be applying to. And really do that research, as we spoke about earlier, so you're not just exploring how they will support you with your future career plans and is it of interest to you, but anything you're doing in terms of that research will also help you demonstrate the knowledge of that course and institution when you're writing a personal statement. You might want to create a bit of a shortlist of the courses that you want to apply for, and also think about other things, so not just that particular course, but where is the university based? Are you going to be moving away from home? So thinking about the other costs that may be included in that particular move as well, and that can be part of your decision making process too. I would then really encourage you to think about your current skills and experience, things that you've done that are relevant to the courses that you are considering. And also thinking, is there any sort of skills gap here? So maybe they're talking about a certain skill when you're reading about the course and the sorts of students that might suit. And, you know, is there a skill that maybe you don't feel as confident with? So thinking about now, is there anything that you can do to, I guess, fill that skills gap and make sure that you are going to be the best candidate for that particular course? And then, of course, think about drafting your personal statement. So it's never too early to get ahead of the game. Draft that personal statement, come and get it checked with the career service, and we can review that for you. We can review your first draft and then help you develop it till you've got your final draft that you're ready to submit. So there's not a limit on the amount of the career appointments that you can have. Hopefully we'll give you the knowledge and tools to be able to take that forward and not need to rely on us every time you make a new draft, but it's certainly something that we can help you with. So I guess in a summary, think about the courses that you want to apply for, get a bit of a shortlist going on, do a bit of a research into what those particular courses are and how they stand out from one another, and start thinking about drafting those personal statements.
Great, thank you. So kind of already touched on this, but are there benefits to staying at the same university as my undergraduate degree? So do you want to elaborate on that further, Charlotte?
Yeah, I can do. So sometimes you might hear that actually staying at the same university doesn't help your sort of CV or your prospects later on, and I don't think it makes any difference. The key is looking for the right course for you. So there's necessarily not a disadvantage to staying at the same university. The advantages, though, are things like alumni discounts. So do have a look and see what benefits there are sort of financially, but also the fact that you know the people who are going to be teaching you if it's sort of along the same lines as your previous degree, or just knowing your way around campus, knowing the city and things like that. So there can be massive advantages. You don't have to resettle in to a new place if you do stay at the same university. So if you're going to stay at Leicester, you know what it's like here, you know where to find everything, you know what's in the students' union, you know where your career service is, plus we'd give you a 20% discount on your fees. So it is worth having a look and just seeing sort of if it is worth staying here, or it might come down to the course itself. Same as with undergrad, not every university has every course and not every university has the same sort of specialisms. So do your homework on the courses and the added benefits you can get from staying at the same place.
Thank you. Okay, so I had another one, very topical. Will masters be taught online due to COVID-19? Charlotte?
So I think with this, depending on where it is you want to go, if you're staying here at Leicester, have a look at the Ignite pages, because that's how you're going to be taught. So there's going to be a really good mix of basically online content so that you can sort of catch up on that larger teaching. So large lectures, for example, they're going to be really, really difficult if we're still social distancing. So they will probably be popped onto Blackboard for you, whereas some of the smaller group teaching and one-to-one teaching that you might get will actually be done face-to-face in a safe environment. If you have lab work and things like that, they are currently working on making sure it is sort of fully safe for you to go in and continue doing your lab work. So one of the examples of this that I'm aware of at the moment, of having been discussing it with museum studies, the museum studies do things like object handling, and they're putting a lot of things in place. So you do that in small groups, you'll still get that opportunity to get that hands-on experience and find out how that works. But in an area where you're going to be sort of protected, and they've put everything in place to make sure that COVID sort of social restrictions are in there. So yeah, there will be some changes to the teaching, but it's definitely not all going to be online. If you are campus-based, you should still be able to get some of that sort of face-to-face interaction as we go as well.
Thank you. Can I do a master's with a 2-2 or a third class degree, Rose? You're on mute again, Rose.
Apologies. That's a really interesting question, so thank you for sending that one in. You may find that a lot of courses, they're requiring a 2-1 or above, or an equivalent qualification to be accepted onto their master's degree programme. However, it may state that those with a 2-2, a third, or even no undergraduate degree at all may be experienced, provided they have appropriate experience instead. So it's really important to explore that with the admissions department of that university that you're interested in the course at. So it might be that if you're not meeting the criteria with your degree classification, that there might be other things to do. So I would always advise to contact the admissions department so you can really explore how you might be able to meet that criteria in a different way if you're not meeting it at face value with the 2-1.
Thank you. Will a master's help me get a job after uni? That's you, Rose?
So master's degrees are highly regarded by a lot of employers. It's not necessary that it will guarantee you a job if you've not done anything besides your undergraduate and master's degree. But there are a lot of statistics out there to show that graduates and postgraduates have a higher employment rate than non-graduates. So actually the employment rate of postgraduates was lower, so 1.9% than that of undergraduates, which was 2.6%, and both of these were considerably lower than non-graduates. So it's certainly showing in the stats there that you are more likely to get a graduate role, but actually it's really important to still think about all the other things that you should be doing alongside that. So thinking about the work experience that you can get and the other activities that you can be getting involved with during your time at university. For some particular roles, having that relevant master's degree, it is essential. So there might be roles such as a clinical psychologist, as a lawyer, where that master's degree is essential to do that. So make sure you are looking at where your future career is going and how that fits in with your career plan. But equally, it could be that that master's degree gives you a really sort of competitive edge in quite a crowded job market, as we're seeing for graduates. So it's definitely going to give you that, I guess, added benefit that you can bring to an organisation, but it's certainly then about how you're selling that as well. So as I mentioned, it's not just about your degree and your master's degree, it's thinking of all the other things that you can do during your time at university and how you're then selling those to your future employer that you might be applying to following your degree.
Great, thank you. So quite an interesting one. Are there degree classifications for masters? Charlotte?
Yes. So it's slightly different to undergrad. So with undergrad, where you've got your third, 2-2, 2-1, and first, it's more simple basically. So you have a pass, a merit, and a distinction at postgrad level, at master's level. So it can vary slightly on which degree you do as to how that is allocated. But a pass is a pass, it makes sense. And then merit is you sort of like your, I would say, between 2-2 and 2-1 sort of level. And then you've got your distinction, which is more of sort of a first. So it is marked slightly differently.
Thank you. Do you receive the benefits as campus-based students as a distance learner? I think it means, do you receive the same? Yeah, Charlotte?
Yeah, so you still classed as a student, so there are some benefits you still get. So you still get access to the library, for example. Sometimes as well, if you're studying at an institution that is a long way away from you, you can actually apply to have access to the other university's library. There's things like interlibrary loans. You also get things like you still get your student union memberships, NUS, and all sorts of benefits like that as well. There's, I think, only one thing that you don't quite qualify for, and that depends on sort of the kind of household you're living in. So things like council tax. If you are a distance learner, sometimes you don't qualify for council tax discount, but you can still get all sorts of other benefits as if you were a campus-based learner. So yeah, so if you're thinking, oh, what if I lose that NUS discount? You're not going to. You're still classed as a student, so you're still able to take advantage of lots of the benefits if you are distance learning as well.
Thank you. Can multiple scholarships be applied to the same degree? Charlotte?
Yeah, so the scholarship information, if you have a look online, usually you can stack them, much in the same way you can stack other scholarships. If you can't, it does specify if you can't. Say, for example, if you're getting a full scholarship with fee discount, it might be that you can't stack those, but in most cases you can stack scholarships. So yeah, do see how many you can get and how many you might qualify for, and what kind of discounts you can get, because it all helps with balancing out that if you're getting a student loan as well, so what kind of student loan you can get and how much money you can get off your fees. So yeah, you can. It's looking at the mix and match on that one.
Okay, great. Okay, I think that's the end of all of our questions. So I'm going to wrap up. Thank you very much for attending today's session. We hope that you found it helpful and it's given you practical tips to take away. Also, a huge thank you to our panellists, Rose and Charlotte. It was great to have you here today. If you do have any questions that we didn't have time to answer today and would like more advice, please do reach out to the careers team where you can book a one-to-one appointment. Please visit the link on the screen or send an email to studentservices@le.ac.uk. We'll be holding more sessions, so please keep a lookout on www.leicesterstudentunion.com/career support to see what's coming up. Good luck with your next steps, and remember that the careers team are here even once you've graduated, so definitely make the most of this. Lastly, if you've missed any of our previous workshops, you can catch up over the University of Leicester YouTube channel.